Hello everyone, this is Debo and welcome to today's video. So this video is a hero guide for Noxia the Necromancer. So Noxia is this new unit that dropped on the Guardian Tales global server most recently, and in all honesty she's a really powerful unit both in the Colosseum as well as the arena. So if you are a player that focuses heavily on both these game modes, right, then Noxia is definitely worthy of your investment. Why is Noxia strong then? So Noxia is strong because of her new summon mechanics within the game. So most of the heroes within the arena right now, they have these auto-targeting mechanics from their normal attacks or their weapon skill. So having an additional unit that actually is able to draw the aggro of your opponent can actually change the flow of the game if you play it out really well. So the spirit can be used for multiple purposes, right? You can use it to body block your opponent, you can use it to redirect normal attacks, you can use it to redirect auto-targeting mechanics of your opponent, and you can just use it to do more damage because you can build offensively for the unit as well. So it's really flexible because it's just one additional unit. And without further ado, let us begin today's guide. And as usual, I'll start with the hero description to let you guys understand how this hero works on a general basis, and then I'll focus on what are the builds that you could go for this hero, and then followed by how to tackle her and how to use her within the arena. Now let us first look at her skill set as well as her stats distribution. So Noxia has an above average attack, defense as well as HP when compared to the many heroes, and combine that with her party buff, which is HP plus 40%, Noxia can actually tank very well on her own. Other than having above average stats, Noxia's skill set is what makes her shine as a tanker as well. She's not going to be as tank as your tanks such as Okma, Future Princess, Marina, but she's definitely going to be much tankier as compared to the many range and support units within the hero pool right now. So as we can see from her skill description, her normal attack has the ability to restore her summon's HP by 20% of the damage inflicted. So what this means is that the more damage Noxia deals to the enemy, the more she's able to regenerate her HP of the summon spirit. So her summon spirit, right, deals melee damage, and the summon spirit's element is based on the element of Noxia's basket. So let's say if you have an earth basket, then Noxia's spirit will be earth element attack, and if you have a basic basket, then her spirit will be basic element, vice versa. So this dark spirit is a separate unit on its own. It is able to receive projectile based weapon skills and projectile based normal attack. So its damage output, I can't really be confirmed about the stats, and since I'm not so confirmed about it, I'm not gonna post about it. You guys can go find out on the internet yourself. But one thing is confirmed, the spirit is able to receive the party buff of the whole party. So let's say if you are in a party of 4 units, the Noxia's Dark Spirit Summon is able to benefit from the party buff of all the 4 units within the team. So if your whole team has defense plus 45%, HP plus 80%, and melee attack plus 50%, then the Dark Spirit is gonna benefit from all these buffs. And her chain skill, known as Spirit Joint Attack, inflicts 250% of DPS range damage to the enemy, and when she has her Spirit Summon, it inflicts additional 250% of DPS melee damage. So this is a two-phase, meaning if Noxia is on her own, then she only deals 250% of her DPS, and when she has her Spirit Summon, then she's able to deal 500% DPS. So how much is 500% DPS? 500% DPS is actually the highest DPS output of any chain skill, which is on par with Eugene right now. However, this 500% is split within Noxia as well as her spirit, and her spirit deals a bit less damage when compared to Noxia, so it's not going to be as impressive as compared to Eugene. But the strong point about this chain skill is that the range damage from Noxia's portion is able to heal the spirit's HP, and the melee damage from the spirit's damage output, right, is able to heal Noxia when you have her special ability unlocked. So when you have Noxia's special ability unlocked, you increase the Dark Spirit's attack by 40%, and the attack by the Dark Spirit is able to restore Noxia's HP by 40% of the damage inflicted. So from all this description that I mentioned earlier, you guys can see a healing loop within the spirit as well as Noxia. So if both of them survive and sustain in the fight, right, they're gonna heal each other constantly. And Noxia's spirit has a 14-second cooldown, so even if you kill the spirit, there's a chance once her cooldown is down, the dark spirit can come back and then continue this healing loop. So you need to kill Noxia in most cases in order to prevent her from sustaining on the battlefield. Now let us look at the build for Noxia. So I do not have Noxia's basket on this account yet, but if you want to build Noxia very competitively, then I strongly suggest you get her EX weapon, because her EX weapon boosts her spirit's DPS even further and increases her personal damage output because she's able to do additional DPS range damage with 40% chance. Other than that, her weapon skill has a relatively low cooldown time when boosted by her 20% weapon skill regen speed, and this weapon skill has a pretty long range and only require 2 weapon skills to crowd control your enemy. But the thing about Noxia is a pretty decent unit even without her basket, so having her basket is definitely a plus in order to max her out in terms of damage potential. But if you want to do creative combos, other baskets such as Barry's Mariel will work as well, because Mariel is also a 2-hit crowd control and you can change the element of your spirit to earth attack. And then if you are facing a lot of future princesses and you just want to counter future princesses, then Nari's Sage Bead is also a pretty good option, even though Nari's Sage Bead only has the weapon skill regen speed within the sub option, so it might not be that optimal if you did not manage to roll it within the game. And moving forward, now that we have talked about the different baskets that you can equip Noxia with, we will talk about the accessory. So Noxia is a pretty flexible hero in terms of accessories, because you can build her to be a tanky range damage dealer, you can build her to be a high crit hit chance dealer, although not that strong, but it's definitely possible. You can also build her to have super duper high weapon skill regen speed. So in all honesty, I feel that the most optimal way to build Noxia is definitely to max out the weapon skill regen speed compartment. So your usual mirror accessories such as your Mirror of Earring of Nobility, right, as well as Pocket Watch, they are definitely your go-to for weapon skill regen speed because of their high defense and pretty decent weapon skill regen speed stats. But other stuff you can build Noxia with could be your Black Crown Ring, which is often used in tanks because Black Crown Ring has a weapon skill regen speed, and Black Crown Ring is able to give very decent tankiness to Noxia if you have it max limit break as well. Other accessories such as the usual Earth Necklace, as well as the Martel Mirror Necklace, which has been recently buffed, also plays really well if you want to deal against specific unit which deals defense reduction. So that's my honest take about Noxia. Basically, Noxia can work with most accessories, but I feel that you should focus on weapon skill regen speed for her because her weapon skill is 2-hit crowd control and her chain skill deals 500% DPS, which is a massive part of her burst damage. So now that you have the build ready for Noxia, how should you actually use Noxia within the arena? So Noxia is very reliant on her spirit to be strong on the battlefield. So if you are Noxia, you should learn when to take the attacks with your Noxia hero and when to use your spirit as a mid shield against the attack of your opponent. And as a Noxia player, you do want to remain as close to your spirit as possible because there's so much things your spirit can do for you. Number 1, your spirit can disrupt the range attacks of range heroes. Number 2, your spirit will force your opponent to distance themselves from you because your spirit can deal a lot of damage if they manage to close up on the enemy. And other than that, your spirit is actually very good for body blocking your opponent on certain maps. So the upcoming match in the global server, which features the chapter 1's map, the forest map, I can't really remember the name. That map, the spirit can be used to body block your opponent really well, because the spirit itself is just a very big block of unit, and sometimes you will find yourself being trapped in front of the unit because you didn't pay much attention. So that's one thing that the unit can be used for as well. And as mentioned earlier, Noxia's weapon skill takes around 2 skills to fully crowd control your enemy, and to be honest, Noxia's weapon skill require her to be quite close to the enemy to actually land it properly, because if you don't get close to your target, sometimes the aiming mechanics can go a bit haywire. But when you want to use your chain skill, remember to summon your spirit, and it is able to heal up. So always remember to have your spirit up when you want to activate Noxia's chain skill, because the additional 250% DPS is no joke. So Noxia is really strong against the likes of Nari, Bari, as well as any units that are heavily projectile based, because the spirit can be used as a mid shield for all these projectile attacks. And I'll just list down the more polarizing matchup on screen right now to let you guys know who are the heroes that Noxia counters really hard, because Noxia fares really well against most arena unit, and given the correct circumstances, I believe Noxia can beat anyone within the arena if you have the stats, the skills, or even if you are in the correct map. So Noxia's playstyle is pretty straightforward. She plays out very similarly to most ranged units, and she's more heavily reliant on when to use or re-summon your spirit to redirect the weapon skills of certain arena units. So what do I mean by certain arena units? So units such as Future Princess, it has a projectile based weapon skill. So if you summon your spirit when the Future Princess is closing in on you, there's a chance that the weapon skill will be targeted at your spirit instead of Noxia the hero. However, this is a double-edged sword, because Noxia is really reliant on the spirit to increase her damage output. So having the spirit take the weapon skill of Future Princess can actually lower her defense as well as lower her damage output as a whole. So that's one thing that you guys should take note of as well. But in most cases, right, Noxia doesn't really have a heavy counter, but if you guys want me to state some of the better heroes against Noxia, I'll list it on screen right now. So units such as Lapis, Eugene, they do very well against Noxia. As for Future Princess, even though Noxia's summon can actually disrupt Future Princess weapon skill, but if the Future Princess just chase after the Noxia and then just smash on her without focusing on the spirit, there's a very high chance that the Future Princess can win Noxia as well, simply because of the elemental advantage. So let's say if you do not have the above stated unit, then how should you do with Noxia then? It's actually very easy, because one of the major weaknesses for Noxia is that her spirit cannot be controlled by the player. So Noxia's spirit just follows wherever you go, and it moves really slowly. So try to use units which has the movement speed advantage, or units that doesn't rely heavily on projectile based attacks. So units such as Arabelle can outspeed the spirit, just force it to run very far away from Noxia, and then you move in and close up on the Noxia for the damage output. And another thing to take note of is Noxia's weapon skill actually is very hard to target if you keep your distance away from Noxia. So trying to run away from her is actually a pretty decent way of dealing with Noxia, because it forces her to stray away from her spirit under certain circumstances, and you will then be able to aim her down with your weapon skill much easily. Or you can actually brute force your way to Noxia with the likes of Beth, because Beth gains more damage when she's facing multiple enemies within the arena. So having the additional spirit there allows Beth to deal additional damage and is able to bring down the spirit relatively fast, and then you can focus on Noxia, the main hero, after finishing off the spirit. So that's the more specific stuff to take note of when facing against Noxia. But here's just a few rule of thumb if you want to have better chances when facing her. So number 1, keep the distance between Noxia and her spirit to be as big as possible, because having the spirit far away from her is gonna reduce her effectiveness and make her more vulnerable to your weapon skill. Another thing to take note of is also to focus on the main hero instead of the unit. So always keep your weapon skill and use it at the correct opportunity on the main hero, because killing off the spirit doesn't really solve the problem because you can just resummon it after 14 seconds. However, if you have the lineup to burst the spirit quickly, then go for the spirit first, then go for the main hero, because there's a 14-second cooldown time for her to resummon her spirit again. So without her spirit, her chain skill is only 250% DPS, which doesn't sound so scary. In all honesty, Noxia is just this very universal hero because of her party buff, and she's able to fit well into most arena teams. And since she's so powerful, I'm pretty sure she's gonna stay around the arena for some time. So you will definitely face her a few times within your whole arena career. And I hope that this guide is helpful for you guys who have some issues dealing with her, as well as people who have put her but don't really know how to run her within the game mode itself. So that's it for this video. Thank you very much for listening through, and remember to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification in order to see more guides from this channel. And do check out the membership page if you are keen on supporting this channel in the long run. And I'll see you guys again in my next video. Bye guys!